somewhere proper. All right. We are on text 31 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Queen Kunti's prayers. Um, we talked about last time, we had a nice class yesterday. Um, the natures of the Lord, how he appears to mislead others. Very nice. Thank you for doing that, Seva. Appears to mislead others by coming in all kinds of different ways. And how he was non-partial. And it was compared to the sunlight and how the sunlight's available for everybody. Everyone can bask in the sunlight if they just step outside and go into the sunlight. And the Lord's giving his pastimes, his actions, his birth, his activities, everything is available for everyone to gander at. But who wants it actually? Most of us, we want to go hide in the cave. Okay. Sun's out. I'm gonna go hide in the cave and find myself away from the Lord. It's not that the Lord's not giving his mercy to me, or I'm not capable of getting the Lord's mercy. The only thing that makes one incapable is the ability to not want to go out into the sunshine. So if you want to go into the sunshine, just go ahead. The Lord is shining it impartially for everybody. But the foolish, they'd rather play the victim. Oh, woe is me. I hide in the cave. Just go outside. No problem. So anyway, he has no specific object of favor nor any object of envy. Actually, why? Why is it? What is the constitutional position of every living entity?
Sure.
Yes, Krishna Nitya Das, an eternal servant of Krishna. So if everyone is an eternal servant of Krishna, that means every single one is equally dear to the Lord because the Lord favors his devotees. And so here he is trying to give his devotional love compared to the sunshine. Look, the sun is shining today, but because we're in the house, we might not get it. But actually, we're getting something better than just the sunshine. We're getting the mercy of the Lord through hearing his messages, Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting his holy names, honoring his prasad, engaging in the processes of bhakti, of devotional service to him. But, we, may not emphasize or prioritize going and standing out in that sunshine as much as possible. All right, I'll give it a little bit. Give it a little, no problem. Right? And making progress is there, We should celebrate. Well, I was talking to one of the boys. He's like, well, a month ago, I never would have even considered ever doing half of these things. Yes, very good. But still keep going. Don't get complacent. Yes, yes. You're doing good, but keep moving forward. Get more sunshine. This sunshine can't burn you. The sunshine has no deleterious effects by getting more and more of the Lord. Give it more and more and more. You'll only benefit. So this was kind of mentioned last class. Kunti was talking about these qualities of the Lord. That he's bewildering. He's so confusing. You're not going to be able to wrap your mind around the Lord and his activities. You can only just hear and be blessed by what he does, what he says, and try and follow. So of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and then you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You give birth to everyone, but still come and take birth. You don't have to do any action, any karma. You're not bound by the karmas, but still you come and you perform actions. It's very good. Dhritarashtra inquires from Sanjaya. We talked about this because it's the week of Bhagavad Gita. It's not Gita Jayanti anymore, but we talked about this. We don't want to be like this guy. Dhritarashtra, he's blind. And even though he is in a less fortunate situation, being blind is not fortunate. His real unfortunate situation was being spiritually blind. And even when people would come to him and give him good spiritual advice, he said, no, I can't accept it. He had a Krura, he had so many people come to him Sanjaya multiple times, Drona multiple times, Bhishma multiple times. Please just take do the right thing. But what does he do? Oh no, this sounds good. This is definitely very true. But in his heart, he harbored, no, no, maybe my desire will work out if we just tinker it like this. And yes, he was duplicit. And ultimately, what ended up happening was he got a really bad result. All 100 of his children were killed, including the one he was trying to pump up and really make, prominent, Duryodhana. And he lost everything and more. He could have just joined the righteous side and done what was right and had a glorious existence alongside of the Lord's devotees, who were his nephews, the Pandavas, who were expanding his kingdom's opulence like crazy because they were so virtuous and righteous. The Lord's devotees, we should seek the Lord's devotees. We should support the Lord's devotees, never work against the Lord's devotees. Never. But still, the nature of envy, the nature of wanting to rise to a position of prominence, this plagues everybody. And Dhritarashtra, he fell prey to this, and he got punished. Even so much so that the Lord himself was against him. As not impartially, not impartial. He's giving mercy to Dhritarashtra. By letting a dharma destroy all of one's plans, this is the Lord's mercy. Because we must know what is the right way. We must know not to hide in the cave away from the Lord. We must know to go out in the sunshine. But yet we get tempted, and yet we'll justify it in all kinds of ways. He justified his activities so many ways. Yes, this is the right thing to do. No, it was never the right thing to do. And he sent people to tell him, the mind is our worst enemy. It'll always tell us why, no, what we're doing is right. No, it's fine. It's fine what I'm doing. No, don't listen to that thing. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta used to say, in the morning, you should beat your mind with a broomstick hundreds of times. In the evening, actually, no, in the morning, he said, shoes. Beat your mind with shoes in the morning hundreds of times. That's what chanting japa is. The mind just wants to do anything else other than to chant the holy names of the Lord. But Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. The mind's like, no, I just want to do this. And then eventually the mind gets so skilled that while you're mumbling Hare Krishna, the mind is still doing what it wants to do anyway. But anyhow, we should beat the mind. We never trust this thing. Never trust your own justifications in your mind. And in the evening, he said, go again, beat it with a broomstick. This is what we do. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the uncontrolled mind is what? Man's greatest enemy. This is Satan. This is actually the principle of Satan, the tempter. He's within you. He's in your mind. The serpent going down the tree, that's your spinal cord. And that's the desires of lust stemming from the mind. The mind tries to engage all of this. These are some biblical references if you don't know. This is where Satan lies. What do they say? The idle mind is what? The devil's workshop or devil's playground, I've heard. There it is. So, but when the mind is offered to Krishna, what does it become? Yeah, not your best enemy. The best friend, yes. Your best friend. Everyone is, we're working with our own worst enemy. And Dhritarashtra fell prey to his mind. But don't be like Dhritarashtra. Always hear from the counsel of the devotees, hear from the counsel of those who know the Shastras. All right, let's just say a devotee told me this. Devotee told me to kill. I mean, this happened actually. There's a whole book written, Killing for Krishna. And it was about, I don't want to get into it, but they had like a crazy thing that happened in a devotee community that was isolated. And yeah, there's the devotee told me to. Well, what about the Shastras? What about the other saintly people who are working with it? There's a threefold checks and balance system called Shastra. What does Shastra say? That should be the foundation. What have the sages of antiquity? What is their conclusions on this? Okay, Shastra says this. Well, what does my what does my guru say? If you don't have a guru, all right, find the best Shiksha guru you have. What does my Shiksha guru say on this? Shiksha means instructing guru. And then, all right, what is the community of other sadhus, of other saintly people practicing? What are they saying? They should all line up, or they should all be in unison or harmony. There should be a way to harmonize it. We saw with Ashvatthama, you're right, we just went through the Ashvatthama pastime. Krishna said, kill him at first, Arjuna. Draupadi wanted him dead. But then when Draupadi sees him, Draupadi and Yudhisthira, they changed their position and they'll have mercy on him. And so, okay, what does it do? Arjuna's guru, Krishna, said one thing. Then Krishna took the side of Yudhisthira to please the devotees. So what does he end up doing? He had to appease all parties. All right, well, I have to please this one, and this one. Sometimes we have to work. What does Shastra say? What does my guru say? But then all of a sudden, the sadhus around me, the devotees around me, what do they say? And we have to make our decision based on all of these truths. So anyhow, sorry we don't actually get into it, Craig, today. But it'll be online if you want to listen.
I was thinking also while you were saying that Buddha, the fact that they were using the minds were allowing them to use the Vedas to
Yes.
slaughter animals.
That's right.
Not necessarily, it was for sense gratification.
That's right.
So that's what Buddha came to say, no,
Exactly.
forget
the Shastras. That's right. So thank you, Craig, for that. Was very appropriate. So we can't rely on one alone. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, all three in conjunction. This is the checks and balance system. So anyhow, let's continue on. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, let's see how this one is. Gopyada de tvai. Nope, it's Gopyada de tvai kritaga sidama tavad. 31. 1-8-31. 1. Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay, this was the glorification verses of the Bhagavatam. Gayanam namaskritya nagam chaiva narottama devim saraswati vyasam tato jayam viraya. Srimad Bhagavatam Krishna Shravana Kirtana Yandasoya Bhadrani Sarvisatam. Urge to hear his messages. Very good. All right, speak louder so the people online. Nashtavrayeshva Vandreshu Nityam Bhagavanta Sevaya Bhagavata Utamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki.
Who is praised through transcendental songs and established that only the Lord is
Jai. So let's hear the Katha of Krishna and purify our hearts, which is where our minds are. And ultimately we'll establish love of God and remove all of our troubles. So if you've got some troubles, don't worry. This is the process. So now, Gopyada de tvayi kritaga sidama tavad. Kritaga sidama tavad. Yate dashashu kalilanjana sambramaksham.
Yate Dashashru Kalilanjana Sambramaksham.
Vaktram nini abaya baba naya spitasya. Samam vimohayati birapiyad bibeti. Gopi, the cowherd lady, referencing Yashoda. Adade, took up. Tvai, Anyor, Kritagasi, creating disturbances by breaking the butter pot. Dama, rope. Tavat, at that time. Ya, that which. Te, your. Dasha, situation. Ashru Kalila, overflooded with tears. Anjana, ointment. Sambrama, perturbed. Aksham, eyes. Bhaktram, face. Ninya, downwards. Bhaya bhavanaya, by thoughts of fear. Stitasya, of the situation. Sa, that. Mam, me. Sorry, mom, me. Vimohayati, bewilders. Biapi, even fear personified. Yat, whom. Bipeti, is afraid. Translation: My dear Krishna, Yashoda, took up a rope to bind you, which you committed. Oh, my dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. She's mentioning the Damobandana Leela, or the Damodar Leela pastime. How is it that you're the God of everything? This is her, the Vrajavasis are just caring so much about Krishna's emotions, but she's knowing Krishna's position and she can't wrap her head. How is it that you're, the God of everything, and yet you're crying and running in fear of anybody, especially a cowherd lady? So this is very perplexing. So anyway, purport. Here's another explanation of the bewilderment created by the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the supreme in all circumstances, as I already explained. Here is a specific example of the Lord's being the supreme and at the same time a plaything in the presence of his pure devotee. This is actually what's waiting for us. That the Lord is like a plaything for the devotee. The Lord will fulfill all of the devotee's desires. So why? Because he's impartial. This is what he wants. He wants to be controlled by his pure devotees, but he does not want to be controlled by the modes of nature, and he won't be. So if your mind is controlled by the modes of nature, which I'll give you all a hint, the reason we're here is because we are indeed controlled by the modes of nature. God will never work out anything how it wants. We must become the pure devotee, and then the Lord is actually the plaything. So anyhow, the Lord's pure devotee renders service unto the Lord out of unalloyed love only. Unalloyed means mixed, unmixed. There's no tinge of what do I get out of this? There's no tinge of getting any type of fruits. There's no tinge of, oh, well, now I've got some knowledge about the Lord and I want to keep acquiring more and more knowledge. There's no tinge of knowledge or fruits. Me and Tanmai just had a nice discussion about this morning. What's being looked for here by the Lord? All he wants is unalloyed love, pure love out of your activities, out of your service, not any motivation. We knew this right at 126. The first thing that Sutta Goswami says as to what the people at large should do during Kali Yuga, and he says it's the main thing of every living entity should be to render unalloyed and unmotivated bhakti. Haitu kyapratihata. But bhaktira haitu kyapratihata. That is ultimately the dharma of every living entity, to do this. And then they could be completely satisfied. Yayatma supersediti. The soul will be completely satisfied. But because we're an illusion, we do other things. So the Lord's pure devotee renders service unto the Lord out of unalloyed love only. And while discharging such devotional service, the pure devotee forgets the position of the Supreme Lord. This is referencing the Brajavasis. They're so captivated out of love for the Lord that they don't care at all for his position. Just like you know, let's just say the president of the United States. Just like the children of the president of the United States, they don't see like, oh, President Trump, President this, President, Mr. President. No, they're just like, your dad. Like the president might have his grandchild on his shoulders, and the grandchild is calling him a horsey. He said, ride, horsey, ride, horsey. Why? It's out of pure love. And the president might act like a horse. He doesn't think, oh, I'm the most powerful man in the world. No, no person shall put their loins on my shoulders. No, but the relationship is like that. It's out of pure love and intimacy. Well, not pure, but out of love and intimacy. This is the position of the pure devotee in the Lord. The Supreme Lord also accepts the loving service of his devotees more relishably when the service is rendered spontaneously out of pure affection, without anything of reverential admiration. Now, this is what's referencing here. It's what's known as the two paths of Ragamarg Bhakti and Vaidimarg Bhakti. Vaidimarg Bhakti is understanding God. Like Bhagavad Gita is primarily Vaidimarg Bhakti. Bhagavad Gita is going to tell you the Lord's position as the topmost, and you better follow the Lord's rules and regulations, lest you be damned. So this is primarily Vaidimarg. And in the beginning, Vaidimarg is very good for us because we're in such a disease condition that it's the proper medicine. But over time and over advancement, hopefully what happens is that at some level of advancement, it shifts towards, and what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to give is this spontaneous pure affection, not out of just, all right, the Shastras say this, and this is like this, or the Lord's position is like this, it's logical to do like this. Understanding him as the position of God. Very high, even above Vasudeva and Devaki. Even Vasudeva and Devaki were not at this platform. Arjuna was not at this platform. Uddhava was not at this platform. This is a very, very high platform. So anyhow, it's more relishable to the Lord when it comes to this platform where the love and affection is so deep that they can't even at all, just like the child wouldn't even at all consider Mr. President's position. They just want to have affection, intimate relations with him. So anyhow, like this. Generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential attitude. But the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. The Lord's pastimes in the original abode of Goloka Vrindavan are exchanged in that spirit. The friends of Krishna consider him one of them. They do not consider him to be of reverential importance. The parents of the Lord, who are all pure devotees, consider him a child only. The Lord accepts the chastisements of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. That means, the Lord will actually accept the chastisements of his parents more than like the whole Vishnu Sahasranam. Let me chant, like the Vishnu Sahasranam. That's very popular in India, like the thousands names of Vishnu. So, where are we? Similarly, he accepts the reproaches of his fiancés, or like the chastisement of reproaches. Let's see here. I think it's like to address in such a way to express disapproval or disappointment. Yes. What? Yeah, kind of like the chastisements of his fiancés more palatably than the Vedic hymns. The exchanges between Krishna and the gopis are always chastising Krishna for his naughty activities. But he enjoys that so much more than the prayers of Brahma mentioned earlier, like, oh, you are this great man, and this, like this, and everything is revolving around you. It's like, I don't know, sometimes people come here and they see, oh, you're a spiritual teacher. It's been very popular in Indian culture, and they want to come and touch my feet and touch my feet. And I'm like, in one way, like, if they're like sincere, you have to let them do it because they're really supplicating themselves to you. But if they're older, I'm like, no, 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 wait, please. But at the same time, um, over time, I'd much rather like a lot of you boys when you first came, oh yes, touch my feet. But now I don't want that from you. Please don't touch my feet. Like we're like friends. So this is actually this is like the Lord as well. In the beginning, it's good. You're meeting the Lord, you're addressing the Lord, you're supplicating yourself before the Lord. But over time, advancement, no, we're homies. Me and the Lord, better than homies, very intimate. Um, so when Lord Krishna was present in this material world to manifest his eternal pastimes of the transcendental realm of Goloka Vrindavan as an attraction for the people in general, he displayed a unique picture of subordination before his foster mother, Yashoda. The Lord, in his naturally childish, playful activities, used to spoil the stocked butter of Mother Yashoda by breaking the pots and distributing the contents to his friends and playmates, including the celebrated monkeys of Vrindavan, who took advantage of the Lord's munificence, which is like generosity and merciful nature. Mother Yashoda saw this, and out of her pure love, she wanted to make a show of punishment for her transcendental child. She took a rope and threatened that she would tie him up, as is generally done in the ordinary household. Seeing the rope in the hands of Mother Yashoda, the Lord bowed down his head and began to weep just like a child, and tears rolled down his cheeks and washing off the black ointment smeared about his beautiful eyes. What do we do every day in the month of Kartik that celebrates this pastime? Yes, the Damodar Ashtakam is all about this. And the whole thing is that, I don't want all these lower things, fruits of this world, jnana, moksha, liberation. And then it's saying, I don't even want any part of the Vaidhi Bhakti. I don't want to look at you like, oh, dear Lord, master of everything, cosmic God. No, I want to behold this intimacy with you. That's the whole Damodar Ashtakam. That's what it means when we chant these things. So this is our prayer. So anyway, this pastime is perplexing to people because they're saying, how is the God of everything being running in fear out of his mother, crying, being bound up and punished? How is this possible? Out of pure love and affection from the devotee. So anyhow, um, so seeing the rope in the hands of Mother Yashoda, the Lord bowed down his head and began to weep just like a child, and tears rolled down his cheeks, washing off the black ointment smeared about his beautiful eyes. This picture of the Lord is adored by Kunti Devi because she is conscious of the Lord's supreme position. He is feared often by fear personified, yet he is afraid of his mother, who wanted to punish him just in an ordinary manner. Kunti was conscious of the exalted position of Krishna, whereas Yashoda was not. Therefore, Yashoda's position was more exalted than Kunti's. Mother Yashoda got the Lord as her child, and the Lord made her forget altogether that her child was the Lord himself. If Mother Yashoda had been conscious of the exalted position of the Lord, she would certainly have hesitated to punish the Lord. But she was made to forget the situation because the Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yashoda. This exchange of love between the mother and the son was performed in a natural way, and Kunti, remembering the scene, was bewildered, and she could do nothing but praise the transcendental filial, uh, like uh, like parental. Filial love. Yeah, probably he's probably edited out filial because filial has become known as like pedophile, filial, things like this. Anyway, but it's like parental or child and or maternal love. Um, Indirectly, Mother Yashoda is praised for her unique position of love, for she could control even the all-powerful Lord as her beloved child. So this is actually the amazing part of the Bhagavatam. It's taking you through the stages of relationship with the Lord. So this is ultimately what we want. The Bhagavatam is set out in such a way, it's hinting at this element. And it talks about Krishna's pastimes with the Vrajabasis multiple times, but it doesn't get into detail until the 10th canto. Why? Because there's things you need to know first before you can so-called skip on to that higher stage, that spontaneous stage. When we're sick, we can't just go into the spontaneous stage. We have to be cured by the Vaidhi stage. And then when we're a little bit healthy, then we can start to do some activities, some real spiritual activities. Then we could potentially maybe take to this spontaneous raga stage. But there's things you need to know. There's lessons that need to be learned. And the Bhagavatam is set up in such a way that in order to get to that place, you have to, understand, take in the valuable lessons of the what you would call the lower rungs. So anyway, that's why the Bhagavatam is set up the way it is, and then the golden jewel is found in the 10th canto. So and now we're referencing that now. So Kunti is. So text 32. Kechid ahorajam jatam punyashlokasya kirtaye yado priyas yanvay yado priyas yanvavaye
Yadopriyasyanvai
Malayasyeva chandanam
Yasyeva Chandana
Kechit someone Ahu says Ajam the unborn Jatam being born Punyashlokasya of the great pious king Kirtaye for glorifying Yado of King Yadu Priyasya of the deer Anvavaye in the family of Malayasya Malaya Hills Eva as Chandanam sandalwood. Translation. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings. And others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. These are all fulfillments that Krishna was born to fulfill. Like in Bhagavad Gita, he said he came to deliver the pious and to relieve the world of the miscreants. But also he's fulfilling the generational promise to the Yadu dynasty and so on. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya Hills. Purport. Because the Lord's appearance in this material world is bewildering, there are different opinions about the birth of the unborn. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he takes birth in the material world, although he is the Lord of all creations and he is unborn. So there cannot be any denial of the birth of the unborn because he himself establishes the truth. But still, there are different opinions as to why he takes his birth. That is also declared in the Bhagavad Gita. He appears by his own internal potency to reestablish the principles of religion and to protect the pious and annihilate the impious, like we just were talking about. That is the mission of the appearance of the unborn. Still, it is said that the Lord is there to glorify the pious King Yudhisthira. Lord Sri Krishna certainly wanted to establish the kingdom of the Pandavas for the good of all in the world. When there is a pious king ruling over the world, the people are happy. When the ruler is impious, the people are unhappy. In the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious. If anyone's a political junkie here, this might take you away from the politics of things. Why? Because they're all impious. The rulers, in most cases, the rulers are impious. And therefore, the citizens are also continuously unhappy. Politics are not going to solve your problem. They're just going to keep, you're just always going to get disappointed that now this person is making us unhappy. Right now, I think in New Jersey, where my parents live, there's like government surveillance drones everywhere, like flying everywhere. And one person in a town over from me was like, why? It's spraying something. It's like pretty crazy. But like, who knows what the hell the governments have planned? Yeah, no one talks about it. It's proven now. What? Yeah. Yeah, whatever they're saying, there's some agenda that they're doing. And it's most likely not a good agenda. We had that whole COVID pan or plandemic thing that we had going on. This was clearly orchestrated by top level personnel of the world. But they have an agenda and they're gonna do their agenda. So anyhow, therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. This is a symptom. Are the citizens by and large unhappy? Due to impious rulers, due to impious rulership. But let's not, if we accept Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Vladimir Putin or the Illuminati, whoever we accept as our, rulers, yes, we'll be subject to how they rule. But if we accept Krishna as the supreme ruler, or if we accept the path of love of Krishna as the supreme ruler, that's perfect. We can be completely happy.
Showing us this other day in a lecture he was saying he went to Russia and was meeting with the Russian people and they were giving him a hard time. And he was saying, we also believe in communism, but our ruler is Krishna. He said, so what's the difference? Your ruler is like this, our ruler is Krishna. He said, so we're also on the same page. And he said, that guy didn't know what to say.
So yeah, I mean, but very few will be able to actually appreciate, even have faith in God. That's why in the beginning we must know there's a God. And then eventually the intimacy, the spontaneous affection and intimacy one can have with God, you would never even want to call him God in that level. But that's a graduate teaching. So anyway, but in the case of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representative to rule over them, and therefore they cannot blame anyone for their unhappiness. Maharaj Nala was also celebrated as a great pious king, but he had no connection with Lord Krishna. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthira is meant here to be glorified by Lord Krishna. He had also glorified King Yadu, having taken his birth in the family. He is known as Yadava, Yaduvira, Yadunandan, etc. Although the Lord is always independent of such obligation, he is just like the sandalwood that grows in the Malaya hills. Trees can grow anywhere and everywhere, yet because the sandalwood trees grow mostly in the area of the Malaya hills, the name sandalwood and the Malaya hills are interrelated. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is ever unborn like the sun, and yet he appears as the sun rises on the eastern horizon. As the sun is never the sun of the eastern horizon, so the Lord is no one's son, but he is the father of everything that be. Right? We associate the east, that's where the sun rises. We're all looking out this way in the morning, because we know the sun appears there. But the sun is the sun of everywhere in every direction. He's not like, oh, that's the eastern horizon. So similarly, he appears for this devotee, for this purpose, in this family. But they don't possess or purchase the Lord, except with their love and their devotion. Like the Lord will always be known as the Lord of Vrindavan, the Lord of Vraj. But he'll never accept that position. Oh, I'm the God of Vrindavan. No, he's the naughty little boy who does things in Vrindavan. He does this thing and that thing, and everyone's chastising him and having very sweet exchanges with him. Why? Because this is the land of pure faith and pure love. But truthfully, his all-powerful position, he's not subject to anything that he doesn't wish to be subjected to. Let's read one more verse. Apare Vasudevasya
Pare Vasudevasya
Devakyam Yachito Bhyagat
Vakyam Yashodhaya
Ajastvam Asya Kshemaya Vadhaya Chasuradvisham
Vayacha Suradvisham
Apare others Vasudevasya
Devasya
of Vasudev
Vasudev
Devakyam
Devakyam
of Devaki
Devaki
Yachita being prayed for Abhyagat took birth Aja unborn Tvam you are Asya of him Kshemaya for the good
for the good
Vadhaya for the purpose of killing Cha and Suradvisham of those who are envious of the demigods. Translation. Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods. It is also said that Vasudeva and Devaki in their previous birth as Sutapa and Prishni underwent a severe type of penance to get the Lord as their son. And as a result of such austerities, the Lord appeared as their son. He appeared as their son 3 times. This is the 3rd incarnation as their son. It is already declared in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears for the welfare of all the people of the world and to vanquish the asuras, or the materialistic atheists. So the answer is the Lord actually comes for all these reasons. But people, they have different opinions of what's the most prominent reason the Lord comes. The most prominent reason revealed in Bhagavatam, and it's hinted in Bhagavad Gita, is to give pleasure to the devotees. That's why the Lord comes. Even now, in this Kali Yuga, in this age, The holy name of the Lord has come. Why? To give pleasure to the devotees. There, even in Syracuse, why Sachi Sutta came here before we came here. Why all of this was set up for us to come. Really was to give pleasure to the devotees. And who knew it would be you and you and you and you and so on. This is what this is for. This is why the Lord comes. Because he finds the pious or those with a spark of devotional nature, and he's like, I must come to give them pleasure. I must arrange that they get pleasure. That's why the Lord will come. So he's coming to you all in some way. Most of us, we couldn't even handle it. If Krishna were to come personally right in front of us and was moving about with us, we would be like shocked, or we would have unfavorable, get envious of him or something like this. Like, what do you mean he's got all this knowledge and things like that. And I'd like, no, I'm the one with knowledge here, blah, blah, blah. It's something like that. We'd get very envious of the Lord. Um, you know, So, like the warriors, some of them like Duryodhana, and got very envious of Krishna because he was exhibiting his prowess. And when they realized that they couldn't utilize Krishna for their own plots and sense gratification, then Duryodhana tried to hire armies to seize Krishna. And so many others like Shishupal and others, they wanted to destroy Krishna out of envy, out of jealousy. The ultimate illusion that one's own body and one's own mind and one's own construct is of such a great nature. What an illusion. This body is literally a bag of shit. It's literally like a bag of blood and pus and pee and mucus and it's poop and everything that's churning inside this body. It's fit to be, the Bhagavatam is so clear. It's fit to be eaten by maggots and fit to, be burned to ashes. That's what this body is really good for. But by good fortune, we're given it to potentially use it to try and understand and love and serve the Lord in some way. But actually, the body that we're given in the spiritual world is not a body like this. This body is, but we're so foolish. We think this body's so wonderful. Look at my body. Look at this thing. But it's very, it runs so deep, runs so deep. So anyway, hopefully we can learn some of these things. Hopefully I can learn some of these things. It's my wife. She knows how bodily conscious I can be. We can all be, right? So anyhow, that'll end it today. Thank you guys. Hare Krishna. And yeah, we'll continue on.